What up? It's your boy Pat, aka That Varsity Geek, here with another weekend recommendation video for the weekend of July 31st through August 2nd. And I mean, this year's just been flying by. We're already coming up on August, and it's just crazy with everything that's been going on. But if you're watching this video, you're probably here looking for 3 recommendations for sports, nerd stuff, video games. But today we're not going to do any of that. Like a couple of weeks ago, there is only one thing on my mind for this weekend, and that is the NBA being back. Thank God. We're finally getting some sports back. Basketball is my second favorite sport to watch. Football is my first, and I am so excited that we finally are getting the NBA back. I'm a Lakers fan, so you know my Lakers are in there trying to get to a championship. Of course I'm going to watch it. So NBA being back is ultimate hype levels for me. After months of layoffs, pandemic stoppages, bubbles being erected in Orlando, and everybody quarantining up in Disney World, the NBA is finally going to be able to get back to their regular season, get things going, get into the playoffs, and crown a champion for this year. Now, if you've been paying attention to anything sports related, you know that the NBA was forced to halt their season because of the pandemic. And at the point that they stopped it, they hadn't finished the regular season yet, the playoffs hadn't started, and so we really didn't know what they were going to do and how everything was going to get back going, if it was even going to get back going. So this restart is going to have a slightly different schedule to it. It's going to look a little bit different, but it still should give us all that NBA goodness that we've been craving for months at this point. So for this restart, the NBA brought in every single team that had any shot of getting into the playoffs. It doesn't matter if you needed everything to fall perfectly for you and you only had a 1% chance of possibly getting into the playoffs. If you had a shot and your chance wasn't 0%, they brought you in to try to compete for that last spot or to try to move up in the rankings so that you had a better seed. And so all these teams were brought to Orlando into Disney World, and the NBA put them in what they're calling a bubble. And it's pretty much a self-contained area where nobody is really coming in and out. They're trying to keep contact as minimal as possible to make sure that nobody brings coronavirus into the bubble, infecting people, because if that happens, the whole point of isolating everybody is kind of moot, and then the virus can just spread throughout the bubble, forcing them to shut down the season. And that's the last thing that they want to do. So they're really taking strides to make sure that they can not only start, but finish this season and the playoffs once everything gets up and cracking. And surprisingly, the NBA has done a really good job of making sure that everybody stays safe in the bubble and making sure that the virus doesn't get into it. So once in the bubble, everybody has to wear masks when they're going around anywhere in public. That includes players, team staff, the restaurant staff, and the people who are serving them, every single person. The only time that you don't have to wear the mask is if you're in your room or if it's during practice for the players, because they can't really practice well while wearing masks. And also, anybody who is inside of the bubble cannot leave the grounds without consequences. So if any players or any people leave out of the bubble, even if it's just a little bit to grab something right outside, they have to be self-quarantined for 10 days before they're allowed to have contact with anybody else inside. So if you have something important going on, you can leave. They're not going to stop you, but you just have to know that if you're trying to come back in the bubble, you have to self-quarantine for 10 days and then get tested to prove that you don't have coronavirus before you can interact with anybody else, because they are serious about trying to make sure that this does not spread in the bubble. And of course, they're doing regular testing every day or multiple times a day to make sure that nobody in the bubble has coronavirus, and to make sure that if somebody does have it, that they catch it early on, they can get them into a self-quarantine space super early, and they can keep it from being transmitted from player to player or from anybody else in the bubble. The NBA's worst case scenario would be if somebody caught it, spread it to a whole bunch of players, and then you have stars not being able to play. So for this restart, each team is going to be playing 8 seeding games, and then they're going to combine those results with the results from the regular season, giving the teams a record for the regular season, and then they're going to create the seeds based on that. So whatever games that you had before the shutdown, they are still going to count. You just play 8 more games, those get added to your regular season totals, and then the top 8 teams from each conference are going to be the teams that are staying in the bubble to play in the playoffs. Now once the playoffs start, any teams that did not make the cut, they get to go home. So they're not going to be in the bubble anymore. It's easier if you keep less people in there. Plus, they're going to be away from their families for a long time. If you're not playing in the playoffs, there's no point in you being away from your family and being there, so they get to go home, which I'm sure will be a welcome relief for some of these teams who really don't think that they have a good shot of getting into the playoffs in the first place. And then after these seeding games, the playoffs are going to proceed as usual. 1v8, 2v7, etc., all the way through the conference rounds till you get to the NBA championship. The only difference is that there's not going to be any home court advantage. Obviously, they're not going to be doing any traveling, so they're going to be playing all of their games in Orlando at basketball courts they have set up in Disney, which look pretty dope from what I've seen. And so it's kind of a disadvantage for teams like the Bucks and the Lakers, who had that first seed and pretty much would have had home court advantage locked up throughout their conference championships. But this is the situation we're in. It's just something that we have to deal with at this point if we're trying to get basketball back up and going. But with all that said and done, the NBA is back with a vengeance, baby. We had some great games last night with the Lakers playing the Clippers, which looks like it could be a preview of what the Western Conference Championships is going to be. Lakers are obviously going to win that, though, because as a Lakers fan, the Clippers are just the little brother that we never asked for. So I'm never going to root for the Clippers over the Lakers. But it should be a good game and a good series. And then you had one of the new stars in the league, Zion Williamson and his Pelicans, taking on Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, and the Utah Jazz. And so that's a really good slate of games for us to get us started with this restart and whet our appetite for the NBA season that's going to continue all the way up into the playoffs. And this weekend is also going to deliver with a lot of great games from star-studded teams, all the top teams that you're looking to watch, and you're going to have stars and superstars and great role players everywhere. And that's part of the benefit to this restart and the way that it's going. You're not going to have the bottom teams in the conferences playing each other. It's only going to be the top teams who are in playoff contention playing against each other. So the level of competition should be better, or at least a little bit more interesting to watch. Now tonight you've got front runner for the Rookie of the Year, Ja Morant and his Grizzlies taking on Dame Dollar, CJ McCollum, and the Portland Trail Blazers at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on NBA TV. Then after that, you've got the Celtics guard and small forward-centric offense going against the probable MVP, the Greek freak Giannis Antetokounmpo, and the Milwaukee Bucks at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. And then to top it all off, at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN, you're going to have James Harden and Russ with the Rockets going against a young star in the league, Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks. Now, that's a strong slate of games if I've ever seen one. All of them look to be super entertaining. Like I said, a lot of top teams in the league are going to be playing, and you're going to be just getting to see so many superstars, it's going to be bananas. And then Saturday is going to bring you a bunch more really great games throughout the day on ESPN. So if you're looking for basketball, all you got to do is tune into ESPN pretty much anytime afternoon, and there's going to be some kind of game on for you. And then again, Sunday is going to bring us some more great games as well, with the highlight being Russ and Harden's Rockets versus the Greek Freak and the Milwaukee Bucks at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC and ESPN. And then, considering how much I've missed basketball and how many great teams and great players are going to be playing this weekend, you know exactly where I'll be. I'll be sitting my butt down on the couch, sipping some drinks, eating some snacks, and checking out the NBA all weekend. I don't care about anything else. No anime, no nerdy TV shows, no video games, nothing. I am going to be tuned in to the NBA all weekend, and I could not be happier about it. And so if you're a fan of any kinds of sports, I suggest that you do the same thing. It's been a long time coming, waiting for this NBA season to get back going, and I'm just so excited that that's all I wanted to talk about this weekend. But that's my recommendation for you. If you don't want to watch the NBA this weekend, I really can't help you. I don't know what your relationship is with sports, but definitely watch the NBA. And let me know what games you're most excited about for this weekend, who your team is, and honestly, who do you think is going to win the NBA championship this year? I've been Pat That Varsity Geek, here with another weekend recommendation video for you guys, telling you to go watch the NBA. So peace out, have a great weekend, and get you some good snacks and some good drinks while you sit on your couch and watch the NBA this weekend. Peace.